YouTube, ça va! So I am in a French mood this evening, so why not go for a little L'Art et la Matiere from Guerlain. I love this line. I love this collection by this line. One of the oldest and most well-regarded, well-respected fragrance houses in existence, actually. So tonight it's going to be Bois D'Armenie from L'Art et la Matiere collection from Guerlain. Look at the bottle. Absolutely stunning. This is the 75 ml Eau de Parfum. This actually is the top that screws onto the neck of the bottle. For the presentation, this is the box here. Excuse me for just a second. You get the standard box that the L'Art et la Matiere fragrances come in. Like I said, it's the Guerlain box, Maison Paris at the bottom. It's the Eau de Parfum, the 75 ml. And then the bottle actually rests in here, and it comes with the regular atomizer that you see on top right now, or also the bulb atomizer that looks like this. And I prefer the regular atomizer. Just, I don't know, the bulb atomizer is a little too frou-frou for me, and I've also heard that with the bulb the fragrance evaporates more quickly because of the extra air in the bulb. So I just like it simple. I like to keep the spray on it. It's got this awesome gold plate on the front, and is that upside down? No. Bois D'Armenie on the side with the gold plate, and then the Guerlain emblem right at the bottom. And I just put the cap that actually is the screw on top of the bottle on top, so try to keep it from evaporating as much as possible. So classic, simple, elegant, beautiful presentation, and all of the L'Art et la Matiere bottles are similar. So I bought this fragrance because one of my favorite scents of all time is Carta de Armenia, Armenia Papers. This fragrance is Bois D'Armenie, or Armenia wood. And it's supposed to give the illusion of burning Armenia papers. Armenia papers have been used now for centuries. They go back hundreds and hundreds of years, and they were actually originally burned for therapeutic reasons back in the days when it was believed that different smokes and essences cured disease. So during the times of the bubonic plague, they were burnt with the belief that it warded off plague. Also, it was believed that they preserved meat. There were tests done actually where they took raw beef and enclosed the beef in glass and burned some Armenia in one side and left the other glass untouched. And the section, or the portion of the beef that was enclosed in the glass with the Armenia paper lasted for a week while the other beef spoiled. They also used it to purify homes during the plague times, and this is going to get kind of grotesque, but due to the smell of rotting flesh, they used it to cover that smell. To me, what Armenia papers are, it's the resin benzoin, which is the sap of styrax trees. And what they do is dilute that benzoin resin in alcohol and infuse paper with the smell. Hundreds of years old, this technique, so of course you have to wonder now, do Armenia papers smell the way that they once did, and does this fragrance actually give the illusion of burning Armenia Papers or benzoin. So what do you know? I just happen to have the real deal. These are Carta de Armenia from Santa Maria Novella Farmacia Officina Profumo Farmacistica Santa Maria Novella, blah blah blah. They have been around for centuries. They are in Florence. I was there. Gorgeous, unbelievable place. And they've been selling these for centuries. And this is what they look like. It's just a little card that on the front says Carta de Armenia, Santa Maria Novella, on the back, Florence. So what you do, and why I love this fragrance so much, it's when it burns, you fold them into a little accordion shape first of all, so kind of like this, back and forth. You end up with something that looks like an accordion, duh. And you light one end, let it flame up a little, and just burn it out. And then blow it out. And then the smoke that rises is the fragrance. And I'll tell you, any type of odor, cooking odors, smoke odors, anything unpleasant, this just vaporizes it. And what you get off the bat, you get the smell of burning paper, obviously, but then it goes into this gorgeous, resiny, vanilla-like benzoin scent, but it's also a little bit ambery and woody. And I'm just going to let this smolder for a little bit, and we'll compare what this smells like to the actual fragrance in just a second. I'm going to go into some of the history on the house and the perfumeries in a second, but I wanted to talk first a little bit about the Guerlinade, which I find fascinating. The Guerlinade is a group of olfactory notes that's attributed specifically to many of the classic Guerlain fragrances, and why I'm bringing it up is I want to look at this one in particular because it's a newer release for a fragrance house that's been around hundreds of years, to see if it still contains those elements. The big three that contain the Guerlinade are said to be Jicky, which is actually one of the oldest fragrances still being produced in existence, L'Heure Bleue, and Shalimar. The Guerlinade was probably first referenced or invented way back by Jacques Guerlain, or even sooner it could have been conceived by Pierre-François Pascal Guerlain. The main ingredients comprising this olfactory grouping of notes that the house is so well known for are bergamot, jasmine, rose, the Bulgarian rose, not Turkish rose, orange blossom, iris, tonka, and vanilla. Like I said, Shalimar, which is the signature fragrance of the house, is redolent with the Guerlinade. L'Eau de Nuit, many of Jacques Guerlain in particular, of his fragrances are redolent of the accord. It's a rich, textured, creamy, almost bakery-like accord. To me, a little retro, which I think is cool, and of course what you would expect from a house as old as this. But it's a signature that runs through their fragrances, and you find that with a lot of fragrance houses. I don't know, for instance, Creed with ambergris, what else? Chanel, I guess, with aldehydes. Who else? Amouage with frankincense, myrrh, the silver frankincense, ambergris, incense. So in this case with Guerlain, it's the Guerlinade. And I want to talk a bit about that and look into it a little bit more as it relates to this fragrance also. Okay, so I'm a history freak and a detail freak, so get ready for the boring part. A little bit of the history behind the House of Guerlain. It's one of the oldest and most well-respected fragrance houses in the world. It was owned and managed by the Guerlain family from 1828 to 1994, then acquired in 1994 by Louis Vuitton. It was founded in 1828 when Pierre-François opened the store, his first one on 42 Rue de Rivoli in Paris, and then his two sons, A-I-M-E, I don't know how to say that in French, Amy, and Gabrielle helped him to compose and manufacture custom fragrances for clients. They opened their flagship store then at 15 Rue de la Paz in 1840, and success peaked for Pierre-François Perfumier in 1853 with the creation of the Eau de Cologne Impériale for Napoleon III, which earned him the title of His Majesty's official perfumier. He died in 1864. The house then passed to Amy and Gabrielle, Gabrielle being the one to manage the house, Amy creating the fragrances. So his greatest composition was 1889's Jicky, which we hear tons of talk about now. Initially more popular with men than women, and then later marketed toward women. The first fragrance, which was actually described as a parfum, and one of the first to use synthetic ingredients along with naturals. Third generation then, business was handed to the sons of Gabrielle, who were Jacques and Pierre. Jacques became the third master perfumier of the house, and the tradition being established that the perfumiers were passed from generation to generation, all within the family. His most notable Jacques were Monsieur de Monsieur, Le Bleu, Mitsoku, and Shalimar, so some of the most famous ones. And then the fourth generation was Jean-Paul, which was unfortunately the last master Guerlain perfumier in the family. He created Vetiver for men, which was groundbreaking at the time. Habit Rouge, Samsara. He retired actually in 2002, but in 1994 the house was sold to Louis Vuitton. At that time, when this is kind of sad, other perfumiers were brought in from the outside, and Jean-Paul continued to work there, but he had to submit his compositions for consideration against other perfumiers at that time. So Oliver Cresp's Champs-Élysées, I think, was the first that was released after the perfume house passed to Louis Vuitton. It was chosen over one of John Paul's submissions, and it bombed and received horrible critical reception because they felt that the brand in the house had been cheapened. So that's a short story of the history behind Guerlain in a nutshell. Okay, so L'Art et la Matiere. What is it, and how does it fit into the House of Guerlain? Some people say that it's because it's a newer line within the house, that it is Guerlain's answer to the growing trend in niche perfumery and perfume making. Others say that it is their higher end lines comparable to like Dior Collection Couturier or Collection Privé, Armani's Privés, Tom Ford's Private Blends, the very high end of the line. So they're composed of several different fragrances. Angelique Noir, Cuir Beluga, Rose Barbare, Bois D'Armenie, this one, Iris Ganache, Cruel Gardenia, Tonka Imperiale, Mille Indelaire, and Spirituis Double Vanille, which actually was supposedly incorporated into L'Art et la Matiere. On their website, on the Guerlain website, they are still listing it as a separate classification, from L'Art et la Matiere. On other websites, they call it part of this collection. The bottles were originally not these bottles and now are. So I call it part of the L'Art et la Matiere collection. Okay, so let's get into the note breakdown now. I would classify this as a woody oriental, almost like it's right on the line between oriental, woody oriental, and gourmand. The top is incense, iris, and pink pepper. The heart, gaiac wood, benzoin, of course, and coriander leaves, and then the base, copahu balm, patchouli, and white musk. And I don't know if you've ever smelled the copahu essence. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Who knows? I suck at pronunciation. But it's the oil actually extracted from a copifera family of trees that grow wild in South America. And what it smells, it's kind of like a balsamic, peppery, sweet, resinous kind of accord, which makes up the base of this, along with a little bit of patchouli and white musk. Okay, so, excuse me, what do I get from this bad boy? I've had it on this arm for a little bit for the dry down. Right off the bat, strong. Right, it's classic Guerlain. It's strong. A whiff of burning paper right off the bat, and a puff of incense. And then a sharp release after that. That lasts just a short period of time, that burning paper accord. Not real long at all. I was expecting it to last longer. Then you get this puff of, I would say, like a white incense. It's not the dark resinous incense. Followed by a release of the vanillic benzoin accord right off the start. A little smoky, and then a little bit of a burn smell, I would say, and then that kind of dissipates, and a little bit later you get like a warm, sweet patchouli accord a little bit. I don't want to scare people off because a lot of people are turned off by patchouli. This is not the hippie patchouli I'm talking about. This is the chewy patchouli. Like a chewy, almost gourmandish. There's a little bit of that damp earth, like in a dark cave, earthy feel to the patch in this. But I would not say like the dirty hippie kind at all. And then a little bit of like the fragrant balsam. It keeps that vanilla amber accord throughout. And I'm hesitant to say vanilla or tonka because supposedly it doesn't contain either. But you get this light powdery amber on the dry down, and then a wood creeps into the base, which is, again, not real resinous or heavy. Light, like I said, powdery wood. But throughout, I'm struck with, I keep thinking tonka vanilla. And there is supposedly none in this, according to the note breakdown, which, so I'm thinking that the blend of the benzoin, and that, just the sweetness of the patchouli, and that balsamic kind of resin, that I was speaking of earlier, the copahu balm, is brilliantly blended to give the illusion of like a tonka vanillic kind of accord. It's not, it doesn't quite have the sharpness of a true vanilla. I would say it's more like a tonka to me. Backed by that wood, but the patchouli reins it in a little bit. This is a Nick Minardo classic, in my opinion. She was also the perfumier behind Bulgari Black from 1998, and I do, yes, see the similarities. That kind of rubbery, vanillic incense kind of deal that goes on with both. It's sweet. This is sweet, gourmandish. I would say appropriate for cool, drizzly weather in front of a fire, wrapped in a blanket, drinking steaming mugs of hot black coffee. That's what this would seem perfect for to me. The longevity is second to none, as you would expect from a fragrance of this cost and caliber. 12 to 14 hours. It does wear close to the skin. I wouldn't say it's a projection beast. People around you can smell you. It's enveloping and warm, but you're not gonna have sillage from now to kingdom come, in other words. Does it recall or give the illusion of Armenia Papers? It is based on the aroma, of course, of the 16th century scented Armenia Papers. It gives the idea of it. You have that puff of smoke tinged with iris and that paper accord. The iris intensifies just a bit during the dry down. There are some florals that accentuate actually the smoky, woody, balsamic sweetness, but they act as supporting players, I would say here, and don't overpower the fragrance. To me, the Armenia Papers are drier, more resinous, and less sweet. So, does this have elements of the classic Guerlinade? In my opinion, yes. Less of the florals that they're known for, but you have the iris, and there is not supposedly vanilla or tonka in this, but you've got the benzoin that alludes to the tonka. So to me, I get the Guerlinade from this. I know others say that they do not. I would say it's more of a Guerlinade fragrance than the traditional Armenia wood fragrance. I was expecting, when I first got it, something to be more austere, less sweet, more incensey, and a little bit more ambery. This is sweeter than I expected. I still love it. Love the progression of it. The really cool part of it is that whiff of paper, burning paper, smokiness at the beginning. I wish that lasted a little longer. Then through the mid, you almost get that pastry-like Guerlinade sweetness, but then the dry down goes into an ambery, light wood, powdery deal, which I think is genius. So, how does it compare to another La Matiere? So I just happen to have Cuir Beluga in the house. I'm stupid, I'm sorry. This one, it's interesting because they both have that pastry-like sweetness, and that for the Bois D'Armenie, I just was not expecting that. I was thinking it was going to be austere, smoky. Yes, the benzoin does have an ambery vanilla quality when you're burning it with the Armenia Papers, but you don't get like sweet. And with the fragrance, the Bois D'Armenie fragrance, it's sweet. The Cuir Beluga is a more subtle, less sweet version, but the vanilla tonka idea and feeling is still there with Cuir Beluga. This gives you the idea of like a light suede and a creamy pastry, not too sweet. With the Bois D'Armenie, it's a stronger fragrance, first of all. The notes are stronger. I think it's sweeter than the Cuir Beluga. And more in your face, to me. I think that the incense combined with that sweet benzoin makes it a little bit stronger, heavier. Whereas the Cuir Beluga, you don't get as much of that smokiness. It's a light, sweet, Swedish leather. As to whether or not the Bois is masculine or feminine, I've heard discussions on both sides of the fence. For Granica actually classifies it as for men. I've heard that it's more of a feminine fragrance because of the vanillic sweetness to it. I would say it's unisex. If you don't like sweet and you're a guy, you're not going to like this. I would place it as strictly unisex fragrance. Beautiful scent. The quality is there. The blending is masterful. It goes from mid to top to base seamlessly. Of the two, just because it's a little bit more subtle, I think I like the Cuir Beluga better. But this one would be great for fall and winter, Bois D'Armenie. So let me know what you guys think if you have tried these two. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Coming up, we've got that vanilla scent next week that I'm excited about reviewing. So I will either see you then or a little bit before. Have a good night. Take care.